about sound, and the thing is that if you want to do them just in the future, you know, an animation is usually 50% picture and 50% sound, and so the thing is that it usually takes up a lot of, you know, sound is about about half of an animation. But the thing is, as I said, I haven't really talked about sound much, and I really do it a lot more in animation too. So, as far as basically there are a few things here. Dialogue, as far as characters, dialogue, sounds, grunts, crying, so on. And soundtracks, musical sounds like stabs, which is kind of like a bunch of violins going, you know, things like that. And then there are a couple things, big things, sound effects, things like what they call diegetic or non-edited in sound effects, and then things like foley, which are created sound effects. And this isn't going to be that long. So, dialogue is self-explanatory. It's a conversation between two or more people, and that sound that delivers that conversation. Like in film, it should be clear, loud, and audible, so the audience can hear what's being said. In this case, you're probably not going to have a lot of characters. You probably may not have any characters. So I'm just saying yes, no, maybe. So let's talk about dialogue.
Film isn't just a visual medium. It's a verbal one too, and nowhere is the brilliance of a good script easier to hear than in the mouths of the characters. Bickering and bantering, yelling and yapping, probing and pontificating, these are a certain place or time or sense of character by choosing words, pacing, structure, cadence that was specifically evocative. This is dialogue from The Departed, On the Waterfront,
A one-way ticket to Palookaville,
and Snatch,
when's my contest for the horses, you know?
My Cousin Vinny,
2 Utes,
Juno,
Honest blog?
True Grit, and The Big Lebowski.
I'm the dude, man.
However, for our number 10 pick, we think it's pretty damn hard to beat Hunger.
How's your smoke going? Grand? Filthy heaven. Disgusting. Oh, aye, awful. Lovely though.
Then a man talking nonsense, not to himself.
Or just as mad.
Or just as mad. And he does both, so there you are.
Stark raving saint.
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead is Tom Stoppard's absurdist spin-off of Shakespeare's Hamlet, following two of its most interesting minor characters as they grapple with various existential dilemmas, attempting to riddle their way through an inherently nonsensical world in one extended conversation the whole film long. So the turn of a phrase is tantamount to the entirety of the drama. It is even physicalized in a verbal tennis match as they match wits instead of swings. The wordplay is the plot. They seemingly live and die by their language, and it puts an urgency behind their conversation that is both desperately hilarious and completely gripping. Of course, sometimes it's not the words so much as how they relate to the meaning underneath. We're talking subtext, dialogue that takes the scenic route, that zigs when the intention zags, that works to conceal or contain or contrast the underlying truth. It's done wonderfully all over Double Indemnity,
I wonder if you wonder.
The Third Man,
You ought to leave this thing alone.
and famously in The Godfather.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
But come on, people, we'd have to be kidding ourselves to not go Tarantino's way. And while he's written Cirque du Soleil level verbal contortion all the way from Reservoir Dogs
Bet you're a big Lee Marvin fan, aren't you?
to Hateful Eight,
Did I know her? Yep. Yeah, I know her.
there's nothing that's had quite the subtextual impact as Pulp Fiction.
Looks like me and Vincent caught you boys at breakfast. Sorry about that. Did you have it?
Hamburgers.
Hamburgers! The cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast. What kind of hamburgers?
Cheeseburgers.
No. Where'd you get them?
Tarantino is the master of subtext, and it's our favorite kind. He's not just writing subtext in that...
So this is this is a bit of stuff on dialogue. Basically, the thing is
Film
that
isn't just a visual medium.
and I'll just say here's just some tips on recording. I won't go into that real heavy because I just want that to be there for you if you need it.
Hello, John.
So, soundtracks. Well, see, the thing is that this kind of goes almost up to the senior level, because there's actually one student who's graduating this year, Lean. She's an amazing piano player, and she's actually, for about half of her class that she did, no, she graduated last year. She did most of the soundtracks for a lot of the the last senior class. So the thing is that really, it's the emotional background of your animation. And so just a few ideas. What happens there is that, you know, when you're getting ready to be done with your stuff and you want to use some background music, you know, what happens is that it sets an energy, and it creates other, you know, it sets rhythm, it sets energy. And so the thing is that in this case, I've just kind of taken a little bit of text saying that, like, if you're doing something that's explaining something, you know, if it's like a promotional video, you wind up just using, you know, just some subtle music to keep people's attention. If you're doing a live action story like an animation, you know, be really kind of clear about your music. We're going to talk about this guy, Carl Stalling, who worked for Warner Brothers for a long time. He started out at Disney, and then he worked out at Warner Brothers. So, and then if you're doing something, see, the thing is, actually, if you're doing something short like this, actually pretty dramatic stuff actually works. So, yep. And over in new media, I do stuff that is music video. So, in order we do typographical video, which is actually music video. So the thing is that if we think about, if you wind up doing things, a lot of you are basically doing things in a traditional character-based animation, probably close to an anime style. It's fairly, you're probably going to be pretty close. You know, they're like different genres, but you'll probably wind up being cinematic, ambient, acoustic, comedic, maybe a little rock. So here's this one guy who's super famous in the world of animation soundtracks. A guy named Carl Stalling. He was really well known for doing a lot of stuff on Disney. And the thing is that he was in what they call the golden age of cartoons. He did a lot of things for the Looney Tunes, for Warner Brothers, and the thing is that he was also worked in doing music as sound effect as well, and but he did the sound effects for, I mean, he did the music and sound for almost 600 cartoons, you know, over what, 20 years. Amazing. So, and then actually we'll get into this a lot more in history of animation. So, I want to give you a quick example. There's a jazz song by Raymond Scott from the 1920s called Powerhouse. And basically, if you've ever heard like a Warner Brothers cartoon, it has this thing called dun 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 dun. This is Powerhouse, and it's a 1920s jazz song that was that was written by Raymond Scott. And the thing is that Carl Stalling used it a lot. Here's some examples. There's in the back.
Watch up!
So there you go. But you can see the same theme was used again and again. So here we go. Sound effects. Tricky, but not that hard. Basically, the thing is that Foley just means that this is sound effect that is brought in after you make the film. In the case of animation, where everything is done pretty, in post-production, you're not videoing or you're filming or anything. Foley is basically sound effects. So it's named after this guy named Jack Foley, who worked during the golden age of animation, and it's anything from swishing of clothing, the squeaky doors, and all that sort of thing. So these are basically called Foley sounds, and they add depth to everything. So, and the other thing is that they might also be used to cover up sounds. Be like, sometimes you've got stuff like a plane flies over, or there's some traffic going, a truck goes by, and you need to cover it up with something. So what they usually wind up talking about is like a Foley being like, there's actually, believe it or not, like how you have a stop motion stage, they have like a Foley stage or a Foley studio where where they're trying to create realistic sounds, but it's really interesting to see how they do it.
Piece of video. A Foley artist uses a variety of props to create or replay sounds that could not properly be captured on set. Here, we see two Hollywood Foley artists bringing an action sequence to life.
And yes, that is a piece of meat.
Cut! We're out of sync. What do you mean? Let's take it back to the head of the shot. We'll pick it up at the table smack. Get it right this time, T. Okay. I'll try.
So there you go. And actually, some people do this as kind of like a you know, do it themselves. So this guy's really awesome.
I'm your father.
not too bad. Not too bad. I think his Megatron was okay. And as I said, I go over this again in animation too, but I just kind of introduce it here. So, so there's stuff called diegetic and non-diegetic sound. So, in other words, basically, diegetic sound is the stuff that you get when you're filming or you're shooting or you're making something. So, a lot of your, you know, if you're doing things, you know, live and then overlaying animation on it, you know, you'll have this. But, you know, non-diegetic sound is that it's, you know, it's basically the soundtrack or foley, and that's added in, and that's the majority of what you have in animation. So, and let's see here. I don't really have an example for that, but actually the thing is that I have some sources for sound. I'll show you those in a minute. And then the other thing is that I have a thing on audio editing in Premiere, but I'll just leave that as a tutorial if you want to be doing this stuff. If you have some questions, just give me a shout, and then I'll work with you on these things. So let's see here. Let me take a look at. Let's see. That's the sound effect stuff, and then I'll just say, oh, let's see. I'll just show you. Kevin MacLeod. This guy is really famous. He's a American composer. And what happens is that what he does is that his business started out from making royalty-free music, and he has all this music that he has done and gives you absolutely for free for soundtracks, and some of it's pretty good, some of it's a little cheesy, but you know, I mean, you can drop it right in. And then the thing is that if you want to talk about how to adjust your sound in Premiere, we can do that too. So he has this whole bunch of stuff. Like here's like Electronica, Blippy Trance. I hope it comes up. Huh. Let me try this. Maybe it's just my internet being slow. There we go. So that is open source, royalty-free software. You can drop that in. All you have to do at the end of the movie is just say that I used Kevin MacLeod, and you know, just give him credits, and that's it. And we'll talk about end credit stuff, and in a talk in the future. It's almost the same as doing. Sorry about that. Oh, here we go. Okay. What am I doing? Okay. So, and then free sound. It requires that you make an account, but that's not too bad. But so there's like 15 years, about like 500,000 sounds out there. So it's great.